Representative of the Ministry of Reconciliation and Civil Equality, please.
Thank you. I'll tackle the question on the religious organizations and the restitution of property. Since 2007, Georgia has made significant progress in the sphere of restitution of property of religious organizations confiscated during the Soviet totalitarian rule. In July 2011, the Parliament of Georgia passed an amendment to the Civil Code of Georgia, adding to it a provision which grants to the religious organizations that have historic ties to Georgia or are defined as religions in the legislation of a Council of Europe member state the choice to register as a legal entity of public law. At the same time, religious organizations preserved their hitherto right to register as private, non-profit legal entity or indeed not register at all. It should be emphasized that even if registered as legal entities of public law, religious organizations enjoy total freedom from the state and do not assume the same responsibilities as other typical legal entities of public law do. Giving the status of LEPL was of crucial importance and constituted a major step forward for religious organizations which, in the past, had the only option of registering as associations, foundations, or not-for-profit organizations under private law. With this new status, the religious nature of these organizations has been explicitly acknowledged, which they had been demanding for years. What is perhaps most important in terms of property restitution is that under Georgian legislation, legal entities of public law compared to private non-profit organizations are better positioned to receive property from the state and more easily do so. Under this law, a dozen organizations have already applied to the Public Registry Agency and registered as a legal entity of public law. In parallel, the Ministry of Culture of Georgia has been registering and granting the status of culture monument to the religious buildings of various unions. Back in 2009, up to 50 Armenian churches, 10 mosques, and 5 synagogues had been registered. In 2011, the status of a cultural heritage monument was granted to the Armenian church and a synagogue in Batumi, Orta Jami Mosque in Batumi, Rabati district in Akhaltsikhe, including 2 ancient synagogues, Tbilisi Synagogue and a synagogue in Kutaisi were also granted a status of cultural heritage. Besides, various cultural monuments have been restored. As you are well aware, property restitution is a complex issue. The government tried to tackle this issue, and in November 2013 it set up an interagency commission with the purpose to study and recommend on, amongst other, restitution issues. The Commission addressed the government with a recommendation to partially recover the material and moral damage incurred to a number of religious unions registered as legal entities of public law, namely the Evangelic Lutheran, Islamic, Judaic, Roman Catholic, and the Armenian Apostolic Churches. The Commission concluded that these are the religious unions whose losses are factually established by numerous independent, documented sources, and their restitution causes no doubt. The Commission said it was ready to also study the cases of damage incurred to other religious unions under the Soviet totalitarian rule and further review the possibility for restitution to them as well. It is true that the Georgian state recognized the losses to the Georgian Orthodox Church during the Soviet times and concluded with it the constitutional agreement that provides state financial support. However, the above-mentioned initiative was developed exactly with a view to extending the principle of equal treatment to other religious organizations. Both of these decisions have been held by the international community and members of the Georgian civil society. The state already made the decision to allocate 5.5 million lari, which is approximately $2.5 million USD, to the 5 religious unions to be distributed proportionally. Since the exact amount of damage suffered by these organizations remains unknown, this payment is only symbolic. Okay. Well, this is only symbolic. The religious organizations, and the question was raised here about upkeeping of their places of worship, can actually use these funds for construction or restoration of their cultural heritage monuments, support for academic activities or publications, as well as for holding of clerical services, purchase of property, or the implementation of any other activities authorized by the law. Lastly, I would like to mention that the government has also established a legal entity of public law, which is called the State Agency for Religious Issues, in February 2014, and this is the agency which is charged to support the government in in relations with and supporting the religious organizations. It prepares and studies the situation and prepares reports and studies the situation in the sphere of religions, prepares recommendations, drafts legal acts with respect to the challenges that religious unions face, studies best practices, and delivers recommendations to authorized agencies on the construction of religious worship places and buildings. It also elaborates proposals on education in the sphere of religion and prepares proposals for the support of tolerance among civil society, including youth. As of now, and that's my last sentence, the agency has taken over the functions of the Commission, including that of the property restitution, and hence the Commission has been abolished. I would also like to say a couple of words about the Chela village. Yes, the village in Chela, village Chela, and the mosque, which the minaret of which was removed. That was a significant and important incident. Partly the reason for this was that there was the legal ground was not, and the documents were not in total conformity with the law of Georgia, and there was also a loophole in the legislation. And our Minister for Reconciliation and Civil Equality promptly reacted and went, visited the village as well as in villages of other religious incidents, and consulted with the local authority, local population, and the leaders of the religious organizations. And our representative also consulted with the leader of this mosque in Chela in terms of preparing the ground and putting all the documents in order to apply for a legal and legitimate construction of the minaret, which actually was done after some time, very soon. And exactly in order to prevent similar incidents in future, the government set up this agency to make sure that there is sufficient legal grounds, and the legislation is in force, and all the loopholes are filled for construction of these buildings.
Merci.
Thank you.
Désolé. Ce qui a été
Angela, what was possibly not very clear, one day the population of the village woke up and found out that the Muslims in the village had covertly put up this minaret during the night. There was no building permit, nothing. So the competent authorities dismantled the minaret, which was then placed under seal. And then once the regulations were respected, once all the procedures had been carried out, including with the Ministry of Justice, who's responsible for the territory there and for providing the building permits. Once all the procedures have been carried out according to the law, the minaret was put up where it was supposed to be. So the minaret now has been put up, but legally. In the future, whenever there are illegal religious constructions that take place, the authorities will carry out the same procedure, because it is out of the question that the religious communities take it on themselves to decide to erect such buildings in secret. So this is all perfectly clear as far as the minaret was concerned. We also encountered the same construction problems or building problems with Orthodox buildings. We have this problem. We fight against this problem because the law should be applied equally.